In the world, I get to find you really good wine. I spend my life doing it. I even dream doing it. This is my occupation and my preoccupation, and I'm grateful that you are supporting it. You are enabling me. We are so blessed, the Wine Steward is, to be enabled by you. You guys are willing to think out of the box and to go find really good wine at a place called the Wine Steward, where wine is a little more easily accessible at your grocery store and big box store and whatever else you want to call those stores. They're out there, and their parking is better, and yet you are aligned with us. We are so grateful. You Wine Club members, we're especially grateful for your membership, for your sticking with us. The fact that you say, hey, Jim and company, find us 2 bottles of wine every month that will excite our senses. We are availing ourselves. We are letting you choose on our behalf. Like, go find us something we've never heard of. That spirit of wine adventure is not necessarily common. You guys are among the elite, and this is not to sound hoity-toity, but you are, in fact. You're upper crust in one way. You have an open mind. You have this sense of, like, there could be a great wine out there I've never heard of. And isn't that the fun of it? We get to find it for you. So part of today's video and this week's video is to tell you that, yes, the Wine Club wines for November are now ready to grab. I am so proud of the 12 wines that we chose for you this month. Yes, 12 wines every month we have to find. We do deals, we bargain with vendors, we taste and taste and taste and taste, and try to find you something we didn't give you last month or for the last 3 or 4. And it's just a great, it's a hell of a time just finding you these wines for your enjoyment and for your intellectual enjoyment too. We hope you will read the notes that I write. I have yet to write the notes for the November wines, so that's probably what I'll get up early in the morning and do tomorrow. But this is to announce, Wine Club members, all several hundred of you, your Wine Club wines are ready to pick up as of now. And I hope you enjoy them. Some of them are geared for Thanksgiving dinner, and some are definitely for your winter stew, and we might talk about some of those in a minute. But what I'd rather start with are some non-wine items for this week's video. Let's tell you that we are stocking this store regardless of how we end up celebrating our holidays this season. We are doing our best to play the part of getting this store all dressed up with some really cool things that we don't carry year-round. In fact, I think I saw socks down there. The first time we've ever carried socks. I didn't buy them, but they look cool. So I'm not even going to show you any socks. But let's show you this. In fact, this is a tea towel. Have you heard of tea towels? In other words, have we heard of hostess gifts? Of course you have. More of the women out there are going to be more into this thing, but kind of thing. But we are bound and determined to have those holiday hostess gifts for you. And there's a whole bunch of these really fun towels, including this one that's up to snow good. They were talking about me, I think. It's this is just one of several down there that are nifty, and you come in and grab your bottle of wine, you're heading to somebody's party. Oh, wait a minute, maybe you can't. Oh, shoot. So you can't go to the party? Why don't you just do a ding-dong ditch? Put the tea towel on the doorstep, beautiful bottle of wine, little notes that says, wish we were there, and Merry Christmas, and run off. We got to do this somehow. We got to do this holiday thing somehow. So anyway, let's think of how we can get this tea towel out of our store and into your hands and onto somebody's doorstep, along with a beautiful bottle of wine. How about this antiquity? We are now in the antiquities business. This was built or made or designed and I think crafted by a very gifted craftsperson in Amsterdam 400 years ago. And since then, it's been sealed up in a nice plastic bag so that it will remain in mint condition. And this plate here, which appears to be porcelain or glass, is actually, you could take this to the pool because this plastic thing ain't gonna break. At any rate, I'm being stupid and silly, but this is among one of several pieces that we have downstairs that look great. They all look like they're made out of glass or ceramic, and they're not as expensive as that would be, and also not as breakable. So just some more stuff that's downstairs that looks cool. I'm extremely amazed when I walk downstairs and I see that I'm not doing all the buying around here, that somebody else has a good eye. I can take care of the wine part, but there's some fun tchotchkes going on, and you gotta visit the wine steward over the holiday season and see what's going on. Who else is busy? The people who are buying our cheese and food items. And just for a bit of drama, let me pull this out of a box over here, and let's just let this hit the table. Hope the phone doesn't fall out. Can't see much, right? This is monstrous. This has to weigh a good 15, 20 pounds right here. This enormous disc is something called Panforte. Panforte comes from Italy, and it's, as many of you know, but some of you won't know, a very compressed dried fruit block of stuff. And it's got nuts in there too, and it's freaking delicious. Well, we've been carrying it over the years already, but this one is chocolate. And we haven't done chocolate Panforte before. It's a holiday treat. It's the kind of thing you want to buy a block of about that size. Once we cut it up, you'll be able to. And then you chop it up into little cubes and have it on your cheese board. So the cheese, the charcuterie, they're feeling a little bit alone without a little bit of Panforte. Panforte makes the holiday cheese board special. So we're about to chop that sucker up, okay? And you're gonna get some, right? You have to promise. I hope we didn't invest in this with nobody coming in to support that. Kind of scary, you know, when you buy all this really cool stuff for the holidays, you wonder if you build it, will they come? I have faith in you. You Wine Steward customers have been great all these years, and you expect us to dress up this store like crazy right now. Come and see what we've done. Come and see, and it's a growing inventory. It's a little frightening. Oh boy, hope we sell it. But in the meantime, I can drink it and eat it, and I'm a happy man. I'll just stay in my office. Right on. So let's talk about some wine. Let's tell you about what's happening this weekend. It's something that has to happen because we've been doing it every year at this time. And you're probably wondering, if you are among the few who have come to this event every November, you're probably wondering if we're even going to attempt to do it. We are going to attempt to do Ugel Day. What is Ugel? Well, let's say it's Famille Ugel, and they are a very, very good and long surviving producer of Alsatian wine. So they're in Alsace, France, back there near the German border. And people think about Alsatian wine when they are approaching Thanksgiving dinner. This is the one time of the year when people will come in and say, hey, what do you have from Alsace? Because I heard Alsatian wines are supposed to just kill it with the turkey dinner. You're smart. You heard it from the right source, and we're happy to help. We have, just to get you all ready and get you thirsty and hungry for that dinner, Ugel Day coming up. So we have been chosen as the East Bay destination, East Bay location for that event. This is something we were handpicked to do, and over the years we've been able to get you upstairs on the mezzanine, and we'd offer 4 or 5 different wines from this producer, Ugel, and you'd be able to buy the flight. And Eric and I would kind of work in the kitchen early that morning or the night before and get a few traditional Alsatian things ready for you to enjoy alongside. We're going to do that again. I'm seeing on my phone that the weather may in fact be clear on Saturday. It's not going to be warm, but we can do a little bit of an Ugel Day out in front of the store on Saturday. How about that? And we'll bring out a menu that represents 3 or 4, actually it'll be 4 different white wines from Alsace. So here's one of them. This is the beautiful Pinot Blanc. That's actually in rare supply. We only got 9 freaking bottles of that, and it's disappointing. But we have more of the others. This is the Pinot Gris with the unusual label. And it's going to be poured along with, what else are we going to have? The Gentil, that's a blend. And gosh, I can't remember the other one. At any rate, a 4-wine white wine flight from Alsace, France to get you in the mood for Thanksgiving dinner. And I'll tell you what, I will get up early and do my part. I will cook up the potatoes and the sauerkraut, and I've already got Eric to agree to do the sausages. So why don't we bring you out what is called choucroute in Alsace. Choucroute is just basically a big pile of delicious, heartwarming, kind of heavy-duty food. It's sausages and potatoes and sauerkraut, rather Germanic in style, and you will enjoy it with these 4 wines. So you buy the flight, and we'll bring you a plate of stuff. And that's how we've always done it upstairs. We're just going to try, doggone it, to have Ugel Day again, even though the circumstances are different. So visit us Saturday afternoon. I'll elaborate this on in an email tomorrow, so you'll see more about that coming out on a Thursday or a Friday email. What I do want to do is I'm getting more and more in the mood talking about Thanksgiving dinner, and we're choosing more and more wines that are appropriate for that holiday, among which the Ugels are like perfectly qualified. Let's tell you about 3 more wines real quick about that are like awesome for Thanksgiving. To let last night's Zoom event go by without like milking it a little bit more would be wrong, especially because the wines of Stoltman Vineyards in Ballard Canyon are really designed well for that upcoming holiday dinner. Last night we showed 5 wines in a Zoom event with the proprietor of Stoltman, Pete Stoltman himself, and he got on to tell us about these 5 things. They were 1 white and 5 reds. I could tell you about the reds, I don't have time. There's too much to tell you, but this white wine is the anomaly. It's so unusual that Roussanne, it's perhaps one of the best Roussannes in the entire world. I alluded to it last week. I'm going to pour myself some because there's a little left from last night. It's at room temperature. The cork has been out of the bottle. So we've done everything wrong to this wine per the conventional feeling about how you should keep things, like if they're going to be kept overnight. Oh, it should be in the refrigerator. The cork should be in it. Maybe you should gas it. Did none of that to this wine. This wine, the proof is in this pudding right here. It is built to age. This is a Roussanne, 93% Roussanne, 7% Chardonnay for a little bit of an acidic addition to keep the wine a little bit fresher. It's freaking decadent. It smells so good. It smells like, if you only drink red wine, I think you'll still understand this white wine because it's got heft. You can already smell the weight. It's a little bit like an oaky, buttery Chardonnay, except it's not. It doesn't, it just smells like it's got some mass to it, but it smells intelligent too. Wow. Totally dry, but a wonderful viscosity. And sitting overnight, being at room temperature, hasn't hurt La Vion at all. Again, this is from Stoltman. This is their most important white wine that they make called La Vion, 93% Roussanne, 7% Chardonnay. I'm mentioning it because it would kill it with Thanksgiving dinner. I absolutely promise. With all of the crazy flavors you have going on that particular evening's table, it's a circus. It's a flavor circus. And frankly, no one wine is going to work perfectly. This actually might be the wine that does because it can handle it. It's got enough mass, but it's not oaky mass. It's not like rich with oak. It's got gorgeous viscosity, kind of a fruit cocktail flavor, a little bit of honey, and yet it's dry. And it has a perfume that will just say hello over all of those confusing flavors out there. It'll be like the vapor on top of your stuffing and your sweet potatoes and your turkey and so on. This can ride over it all. It will be noticeable in spite of or because of all the great food you're about to cook up. La Vion, Stoltman, it's one of the best white wines in California. Just saying it. And hardly anybody makes Roussanne. It's a hard grape to do. They nail it every year. They do such a good wine. Now, back to Thanksgiving, really briefly. I'm just going to remind you that I have never put more Pinot Noirs on the shelf than what we have downstairs right now. Pinot Noir is thought by many to be the ultimate Thanksgiving red. And so this is to announce that the brand new vintage of En Route from the Farniente Nickel and Nickel people is now on the shelf. It's down there. Our price is really darn good. So get some En Route. Besides being a beautiful wine, it's got a beautiful label and everything should be beautiful on the table that day, right? So just letting you know, the beautiful new En Route is here. A beautiful new vintage of another favorite Pinot Noir is also on the shelf. It just got here this week. Got to tell you that Hartford Court, the 2018 vintage, is as lovely as ever. Pure fruit coming out of the glass. It is so charming, so ready to drink. It will kill it with Thanksgiving. Voila. So the final section of today's video, as I wander on and look at all these bottles out in front of me, is to just remind you that the Wine Club wines are ready to pick up. And I thought I might describe a couple of them for you, just to get you in here sooner and maybe to have you buy more than just one bottle. So let me tell you that what I described a couple of weeks ago, something I was a little afraid to give to your club, You wine adventurers are in fact going to get this slightly scary wine, but you just have to read the wine club notes or watch this video to understand that this is all about a cold night, a hefty winter meal, let's say stew or a cassoulet if you're up to it, and drinking this wine, which is made of Tannat and Cabernet Franc. It's from the region of Madaran down in southwest France. And it's bulky, it's not fruity and fun, it is instead curmudgeonly, and it frowns a little, but it's endearing too. It's actually, at the end of the day, you realize you're having something authentically French from a region that just is known for making bulky, cassoulet-oriented wines. Foie gras, if you got it. At any rate, the Chateau Peyros Wine Adventure Club this month. And this is pretty cool too. What's going to the World Class Wine Club this month? The World Class Wine Club normally gets 2 reds from abroad. So reds that are not from the United States. And so you might have Brunello di Montalcino or Chateauneuf-du-Pape or Barolo or Barbaresco and so on and so forth. And the promise, it's kind of a half promise, is that we're never going to have wine from our shores here. We're breaking our promise a little bit. As we did last month, we gave you guys a white wine and a red wine, and it's almost always a red wine in this club. This time we are breaking our promise a little bit, but not by not providing world class. This is truly world class. But what do you do when you have Grenache? And what club can I go in? When you have fantastic Grenache from a very special place, where do you put it? We thought this wine is so important, so interesting, so world class that it could go into your world class wine club. So this is called Newfound. This is a producer who's up in the Sierra foothills, but has contacts with people who grow grapes in Mendocino and Sonoma and the Napa Valley as well, in order to work with Rhone varieties from all over the place. This happens to be Grenache, some of the only Grenache in the Napa Valley, well up off of the Napa Valley floor, over 1,000 feet above the Napa Valley floor, in a vineyard owned by Boz Scaggs. So I'm sure you've heard of him. Boz Scaggs, the rock and roller, jazz singer, whichever you want to call him, who owns Slim's over in the city, is a very, very good friend of Kermit Lynch and has actually recorded with Kermit Lynch, the wine importer. And they share some of the same, let's say, sensibilities about what wine ought to taste like. I think it's probably because of Kermit that Grenache got planted on the Boz Scaggs property way up there on Mount Veeder. And we are very indirectly getting his fruit in this glass right now. In other words, this producer up in the Sierra foothills contacted Boz, and he doesn't have, I think he only has maybe 2 acres of fruit. This guy now has exclusive rights to all of the Boz Scaggs fruit and is making this Newfound Grenache from up there, and ironically doing it up in the Sierra foothills. So it's interesting, like, how it all got here to the wine steward is pretty cool. Excuse me. Grenache. Grenache is a thin-skinned grape, and that means that it's not going to give a lot of color to wine. This might not show too well, but this Grenache, when it's 100%, and this is very, very rarely a dark wine. We add Grenache, we add Mourvedre and Syrah to make it darker if we want to see a darker wine and for it to be more sumptuous. But in this state, it's more like the Pinot Noir of the Rhone, we often call Grenache. Wow, dried fruit, dates. Wow. There's raspberries and cherries and a certain effect of date going on here. It's lovely. A little smoke. Wines don't have to be black in color to be gorgeous. This is liquid gorgeousness without being ponderous. This is pure Grenache. Mount Veeder Grenache. Where else are you going to find that? How rare, how cool. And a rock and roller behind it. I think I was dancing to his stuff at my 8th grade graduation. Oh, that was embarrassing. Well, it's embarrassing now. There were no videos. Sorry. Okay, that's a cool wine for the World Class Wine Club. Let's tell you about a white wine club real quick. This wine is going to your white wine club this month, and it's called Villerma, and it comes from a region called Ribeiro Ribero is in Galicia, Spain, so northwest Spain. We are just inland from the area that specializes in Albarino. Ribero is just a little more protected from the ocean breezes, and it is going to be a blend of things like Lorero and Trechadura, and it has a little bit of Albarino in it as well, and it also has some Torrontes in it. I think there's like 6 different grapes going on, and you'll have to read the Wine Club notes to know more. But what I can say right now, especially if I get a fresh pour in my glass, is that Villerma is not sold anywhere else on the West Coast. We have a very crafty, clever way of getting a hold of this wine. You Wine Club wine people are lucky in that we choose our wines from how many things we taste, but also by getting some exclusivity or getting wines that simply aren't represented elsewhere, at least within reach. So this white wine, Ribero, Spain. Woof! It smells just a little bit richer than your typical Albarino because we have other grapes in play, and it's slightly warmer inland from, we're still in green Spain, that moist area up there in the northwest, near the Atlantic. Oh, stone fruit, nectarines, and some almost ripe apples, just about ripe, like a little bit green. And there's a certain tropicality going on here too. Maybe it's guava or passion fruit. It's a very, very generous nose. Generous, but no oak in the way. There's no wood going on here. We will sell out of this wine fast, I can promise you, because we've kind of identified a preference among most of you White Wine Club members that you like this kind of thing. This is going to be the next thing you're going to reorder, I promise. Villerma Bianco from Ribero, Spain. Get it. Try your bottle that you're taking home soon so that you can be certain that you want to come back and order somewhere really fast. We ordered extra cases knowing that you're going to go for it. Lovely wine. Fun. What do you eat with it? I should say we're back to the whole grilled shrimp thing. So if you're willing to jump outside on a cold night to the warm grill and do some shrimp real quick, that'll kill it. Yep, convinced of that. I think we've got one more wine to tell you about. I'm grateful for you hanging out and watching. Thank you for your observing these videos, and I just have to sit here and tell you about how excited I am about new wines. Well, here I am being excited about a wine that's kind of an old wine. In other words, this is a label that many of you old-timers will recognize. Mario Parilla Manetti, Napa Valley Cabernet. Very distinctive label, perhaps not my favorite label out there. There is no marketing department to persuade Andrew Parilla Manetti that he ought to change his label design. But then again, this thing is so grandfathered in. And in fact, his grandfather, Mario Parilla Manetti, was selling wine to the likes of us only 15 years ago. He died at the age of 101. I sat down to lunch with him once at Mud's restaurant in San Ramon. He was an icon, and his invoices were always in his scrawl that you could barely read, but they were the writing of a man who'd seen a lot of wine eras, and hence the old looking label. I can totally forgive the appearance of this bottle, A, because I understand the guy behind it, and also because the wine is freaking good. Now, we carried this for many, many years. It was our low 20s retail Cabernet from Napa that just killed it for the money. And then all of a sudden, the quality tanked. Basically, Andrew, Mario's grandson, lost his fruit sources. And so he had to go scrambling and find some fruit, some juice from somewhere else. And the wine just didn't live up to what it had been. I missed that because we like this dude. He's a hardworking guy, and he would bring sample after sample every year. And I would have to say, I have a responsibility to my customers, Andrew. I cannot carry this wine this year. I'm so sorry. It doesn't measure up to what you used to sell us. Andrew reappeared, 6 weeks ago? Left a bottle of this. What are we on? 2017 Napa Valley Cabernet, Mario Parilla Manetti. He said, Jim, I understand, I know. I can already feel your your sense of suspicion, but I have a feeling you're going to love this wine. I've just vastly improved the fruit sourcing, and in fact, he has. This wine comes half from Diamond Mountain, the highest elevation vineyard on Diamond Mountain, way up above the Napa Valley, and the other half comes from the valley floor. So you get mountain structure and you get valley floor fruit love happening in one wine that sells for the low 20s. And it's going in the California Wine Lovers Club because it is good again. This is so cool that sometimes what goes around comes around. It doesn't usually happen with wine. Normally something starts out as really good, and then a few years later, the brand gets purchased and the quality tanks and the wine steward's done with it. I can't be more happy for the wine steward and for our friend Andrew that his grandfather's wine is good once again. Let's prove it. Well, in as much as we can on a video. Super dark, intense. It smells so good. This wine was opened yesterday. If it has a challenge, this wine is too young. This wine is a wine that you could age. And we don't say that about low $20 retail wine, Cabernet or otherwise. And yet this is so quiet right when you open it that you'll want to decant it, you'll want to serve it with a ribeye, you'll want to swirl and sniff and swirl and sniff and swirl and sniff and perhaps save some for the next day. And that will tell you that this wine ages. And I promise you it will. I think this is, for the price point, I think we're talking about an 8-year wine here. It's something to buy up, get into. I can't be more pleased. I don't even know how to put it into words, but the fact that the wine steward had a relationship with this, and we're back, and in times like these when things are all going to hell sometimes it seems, when something reassuring like this is all of a sudden back, is like, it's a happy story. Good for Andrew. Glad he pulled it off. Glad to see this very familiar label back on the shelf. Glad you're sticking with us. Think about Ugel Day coming up this Saturday. Think about coming in and picking up your wine club wines. I'll get the notes written. I have to get up early tomorrow morning and do that. But very grateful for everything you're doing with us. Come on in, get some wine. Have a great weekend. That's lovely.